Guys, so it's been about a year since the last time I made a video, and the last time I made a video I was getting ready to get married, and I did, but somewhere between that video and now I had a child, like a human being, like a little person. I grew him in my stomach, and everybody's like, I didn't even know you're pregnant. I'm like, yeah dude, me either. And they're like, what? So today's story time. I got a story. Want to hear it? Here we go. So let's start in June 2013. I got this birth control called Implanon. Maybe it's Nexplanon. Whatever. There's a stick in my arm and it's still in there actually. Wouldn't you like to know? Well, I got that, but I don't really consider it birth control because it didn't control birth. You know, so I got that and I got married in December. So I was still working out. You know, you work out before your wedding, so I was still working out. And in about April, I started feeling weird. But back to this birth control, it doesn't give you your period, which is the main telltale sign that you know you're pregnant. But if you don't have that, how are you supposed to know? Good question. So I started feeling weird in about like April, maybe May, and I was like, maybe I should take a pregnancy test. And my husband's like, no, like you have that stick in your arm, you're fine. I'm like, you're right, I have the stick in my arm. And I didn't have any morning sickness, no like heartburn, and my kid has a head full of hair, heartburn, whatever else you get while you're pregnant. I didn't have any of that. And so one day at work I had some spotting, and one of my coworkers, who I usually think knows everything, I was like, dude, I'm spotting. Like, what does that mean? Haven't had my period. I don't get my period. Like, I have this thing in my arm. And she's like, you're pregnant. I'm like, just kidding. You don't know what you're talking about. So that night, I went and got a pack of pregnancy tests. And I took one, and it said, yeah. And I'm like, no, I don't think so. You can't. No, that's wrong. So then I took another one, and it said, yeah. And I was like, you don't know what you're talking about either. So I'm Googling, like, can you get pregnant on Nexplanon? Can you get pregnant on Implanon? Can you be bleeding while you're pregnant? I'm just like freaking myself out trying to do all this. So then that night I told my husband, I was like, okay, we gotta go get some more. So then we go to Walgreens, which the only one open that was 24 hours, because this was like 12 o'clock at night, was like 3 cities over. So we go and I'm like, get every single kind they have. Like, get the one that says pregnant, not pregnant. Get the one that has 2 lines. Get the one that has a plus sign, the negative sign, all that. So he goes and we literally spent like, ooh, yuck. Kind of gross, sorry. Anyway, so we literally spent like $100 on pregnancy tests, and so there's like 2 in the pack. So I take one of each, and they all said yeah. And I'm like, still don't believe you, don't know what you're talking about. Most people would have like came to the like realization that they're having a kid now, and I'm like, nah, don't believe you. So then I was Googling more. I wish I still had my Google history from that page, because I'm sure it's ridiculous. I'm still Googling, and it's like, we'll take it in the morning. You have the most accurate in the morning. So I took it in the morning, and it all said yeah. And at this point, I'm freaking out. My husband has to work a 12-hour shift that day. I'm at home freaking out. He's at work freaking out. So my grandma's a nurse, so I'm like, I think I'm pregnant. And she's like, oh, honey. You know, I don't want to say like she's not surprised, because that sounds bad, but she's like, oh, you know, we'll deal with that, like whatever happens. I'm like, okay, because I was telling her I had spotting, so I'm like, what does that mean? I'm having a miscarriage? And she's like, well, we'll go see. So I go, I don't know why I wasted so much money this weekend. So I go to the urgent care, and they're like, yeah, your urine test said yeah. And I'm like, and they're like, but the blood test could say no. I'm like, okay, let's take the blood test, go on. And so I'm like, let me get the vein ready for you. Take it. Say no. Anyway, so they couldn't give me the blood test results that day. They said they'd call me with them the next day. And so the next day, I go to another doctor. I don't know why I made an appointment with another doctor. And they're like, yeah, the blood test said yeah, too. And I'm like, nah. I'm like freaking out. She's like, was this a planned pregnancy? I'm like, no. She's like, do you want to keep it? I'm like, no. But I mean, I would never ever get rid of a baby, but I was just freaking out at that point. When you like take the precautions to get a birth control, that means you don't want a kid at that. I didn't want one at that point in time. I wanted to be married for at least a year or 2 before I had a baby. And ooh, sorry. So she said yeah, but she told me that I had to go to another doctor to see how far I was, because I told her I was spotting. She's like, well, you could be having a miscarriage, or it could be stuck in the tube. She was kind of like going along with my idea. So at this point, I'm still having it in my head like, okay, I'm pregnant, but it's probably still stuck in the tube. It's probably still stuck in the tube because I was bleeding. I'm bleeding. Like, I'm trying to convince myself of this. And so we go to the hospital. Actually, that's where you get the ultrasound. And she's looking. She's like, oh yeah, heartbeat sounds good. There's some arms, there's some legs, there's a penis. I'm like, oh wow, you can see all that? Because at this point I'm thinking, I'm like, okay, it could be 1 or 2 months along, at the most 2. And so I'm like, wow, you can see all that already? Thought you had to wait a while for that. She's like, yeah, it looks like you're due, this was June 9th, mind you. She's like, looks like you're due September 14th. You're about 26 weeks pregnant. 26 weeks, this woman tells me. 26 weeks. In this 26 weeks, thank God that every time I wanted to get drunk, I didn't. Something happened. Like one time I wanted to get drunk when we were coming back from out of town, and I wanted to stop at this liquor store, and my husband's like, no, let's stop at the next one. Then we get to the next one, and literally we got there at 9:04 and they closed at 9 o'clock. So many other times that I wanted to get drunk that I didn't. I didn't have any prenatal care. You know, those It Works wraps, like wrapping. I'm trying to squish this kid, working out, smushing him. Poor kid, my poor child. Most people have the time that I found out I was pregnant until about a month ago to wrap their head around the fact that they're going to have a child. No, I found out I was 26 weeks. I had 14 weeks while he was late. I had 15 weeks to prepare myself mentally to have a child. Now I still don't even believe that I have a child. Like there's a kid in there taking a nap, like a little person that I'm responsible for. It's crazy. But I would not trade these last 5 months for anything else in the world. I love my son so much. Like I didn't even know that I wanted to love a little person until he came out. But I will show him at the end of this video. But I would just like to say that I am back. I'm going to make videos consistently now. I've been talking about getting my channel together for about 3 years now. Like just talking. But I'm going to seriously do it this time. Mainly it's going to be like a mommy like vlog channel. But I'm also going to have makeup, of course. Makeup stuff on there. Mainly reviews, because I don't know if anybody else, I'm sure everybody else looks at the Instagram hype, all of the products on there. I bought a lot of products lately that I've been seeing on Instagram just to see if they're worth the hype. Most of them are, some of them aren't, but I'll be doing reviews on that. But without further ado, let me go find my child for you. He is Mr. Logan. Cute. Real cute.